Folks, this is stunning. A sitting Republican senator is publicly calling out Elon Musk for his attempts to intimidate her fellow Republican colleagues and declaring that she will not be cowed by him. This is a shot across the bow at the shadow president of the United States, Donald Trump's most powerful advisor and political donor. This is stunning. The call is coming from inside the House. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. Folks, political courage is rare in the Republican Party these days and has been rare really since 2015, ever since Donald Trump came down that golden escalator and started to assume control of the Republican Party. We saw some bravery up front from even Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, but then once Trump got the nomination, the Republicans fell into line. Well, here is a Republican senator, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, who's just letting out the dirty laundry, just calling it out and calling out Elon Musk specifically. We're going to play this clip and unpack it together.
When people say, why aren't you a better Republican? And if you're not, get out of the party. You know what? You know what? Until Alaskans tell me, Lisa, it's just not working anymore, I am going to give you every last breath that I have, and I'm going to try to solve every little problem, and I'm not going to compromise my own integrity by hiding from my words when I feel they need to be spoken. I'm going to take the criticism that comes, and it may be that Elon Musk has decided he's going to take the next $1 billion that he makes off of Starlink and put it directly against Lisa Murkowski. And you know what? That may happen. But I'm not giving up 1 minute, one opportunity to try to stand up for Alaskans. But I got to figure out how to do that. And I need Alaskans' help to tell me what they're feeling, so that I can help deal with that. It is, you know, I don't mean to be critical of you. You and I, we can spar at these things, and I actually like the engagements. It kind of reminds me back in the days of Bob Tkach. Yeah. But seriously, you know, think about it, Mark. I get criticized for what I say, and then everybody else is like, well, how come nobody else is saying anything? Well, figure it out, because they're looking at how many things are being thrown at me, and it's like, maybe I just better duck and cover. That's why you've got everybody just like zip lip, not saying a word, because they're afraid they're going to be taken down, they're going to be primaried, they're going to be given names in the media. You know what? We cannot be cowed into not speaking up.
Except that's exactly, unfortunately, what's happened to your party, Senator Murkowski. Now, as Mediaite reports, Murkowski has been a target of Donald Trump's for some time because she voted to impeach him, or rather convict him during the impeachment trial in the Senate after he fomented the insurrection on January 6th. She was one of a handful of Republicans that voted to do it. Ultimately, Mitch McConnell refused to whip votes against Trump because he thought he could have his cake and eat it too. McConnell hated Trump, but thought that Trump's political career was over after January 6th, and he wouldn't have to potentially piss off Trump's base by voting to convict him, right? He's like, we don't have to do that, it's over. Except it wasn't over, and Mitch McConnell is like Dr. Frankenstein, right? Who ultimately is destroyed by the monster he helped create. Murkowski put her money where her mouth was. She risked political pushback. She voted to impeach and convict Donald Trump, okay? It also notes that she was once reelected via a write-in campaign after she lost the GOP primary, and she was most recently reelected by beating a Trump-backed opponent. But I also want to note, it's not just Murkowski, okay? This was also really interesting. There's another elected Republican lawmaker in the House of Representatives, Celeste Malloy. Now, her criticism wasn't directly specific to Elon Musk, but really Trump and Musk in general, saying that if they don't rein in the executive branch, we'll see authoritarianism. That is a sitting Republican lawmaker making that comment about a Trump-led executive branch. Utah Representative Malloy offers tepid criticism of some White House spending cuts. She says the country risks drifting towards authoritarianism if the executive branch isn't brought under control. Celeste Malloy received applause at a Thursday town hall in Salt Lake City when she told the crowd she's concerned about the country drifting towards authoritarianism if we don't get the executive branch under control. But the cheers turned to boos when she added those worries weren't specific to Republican President Donald Trump. Quote, when Biden was president, I had the same concern, she said, referring to former President Joe Biden. Malloy's comments summed up her careful approach to criticizing Trump throughout the event, which she held with Republican U.S. Representative Mike Kennedy. The Utah lawmakers are among a handful of Republicans who have held public meetings against the recommendation of House Speaker Mike Johnson, who encouraged them to skip out after others drew protesters. The boisterous audience in liberal Salt Lake City repeatedly urged Malloy to denounce Trump's sweeping federal budget cuts. Malloy wields power over federal funding as a member of the House Appropriations Committee. She and Kennedy said they oppose some of the administration's cuts, including to the National Park Service. But Malloy also said tough spending decisions are necessary. So again, it's a bit mealy-mouthed, right? Obviously, people are a bit concerned about pissing Trump off. But the fact that she used the A word, authoritarianism, to describe Trump's executive branch, even though she says it's not specific to him, again, she tried to couch it, that's a hell of a thing to say. I want to point out, though, I recently had an interview, or recently interviewed Tara Palmieri, who is an independent journalist. She's been everywhere, ABC, Politico, Puck. She's been on Bill Maher multiple times. She now has her own independent Substack called The Red Letter. She's also on YouTube at Tara Palmieri. You should definitely check out her channel. But she broke this really big story about Elon Musk's clashing with White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. But during the interview, I asked her specifically, okay, set Trump and Musk aside, or rather, Trump aside. What about other Republicans? How are they reacting to Musk? And this is what she had to say. It's that. But I guess a more specific question is do other Republicans around Trump view Musk as a threat to them? Because one of the things we hear is if you don't align yourself with Musk and by extension Trump, Musk will fund primary opponents against you, and he's effectively got unlimited wealth to do so.
Absolutely. I mean, he is a real threat. And the only person you've really seen be like, fine, primary me is Thomas Massie of Kentucky because he survived so many primaries. He's like, I'm more MAGA than you are. But they're terrified of Elon Musk. And Trump loves it. That's his pit bull. And you've got Chris LaCivita, his former campaign manager there. You've got Tony Fabrizio there. They're killers. He created Swift boats for America. Do you remember that was what took out
John Kerry?
Yeah, exactly. John Kerry got ran out. So basically, he's a formidable, opponent if you were trying to, and not just that, he owns the internet. And not
He basically does, unfortunately, through Twitter. But yeah, her point is that, listen, I mean, Trump is uniquely positioned to resist Musk. Again, they're the closest things to peers in this particular movement because, yes, Trump is the president, at least on paper, but Musk is the world's richest man. He controls Twitter and its own social media influence. He has his own small cult of personality, and he's got a shit ton of cash to throw around, and he's been throwing it around. As a matter of fact, he's been throwing a ton of cash at candidates who are currently in elected office who have backed the impeachments of judges that have ruled against the Trump administration. So he's not shy about dishing this shit out. So whereas Trump is presumably term limited, right? He presumably he won't defy the 22nd Amendment, right? Trump might be above, serious danger from Musk, but Lisa Murkowski and other Republican lawmakers, they're not. And so for Murkowski to do what she did, even though I totally agree, it's not, I'm not going to give her a badge of courage, so to speak. I mean, to me, it's the bare minimum. But the fact that she's one of a handful, and maybe even a handful is too generous, to actually do the bare minimum and call out Elon Musk and his attempts to stifle good faith dissent within the Republican Party and his usurpation of the GOP alongside Trump, that's risky. It's risky. But maybe she feels, well, I've defeated a Trump-backed opponent before, and I can do it again. But who knows? Now she'll be up against Musk and Trump, so the future remains uncertain. But there you have it, a Republican lawmaker calling out Elon Musk's influence over the Republican Party and by extension, her own colleagues for being cowed into silence, intimidated by him. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.